Hey guys, in this video we're going to do the build for the Tekno SC 410. Now we got on eBay and we bought a basket case, and this is missing a bunch of parts, but it did come with the basic plastic side rails. The basic chassis is here, and it does have all of the suspension. The differentials front and rear feel good. It still has the sway bars in it. The bumpers are unbroken. Everything looks good that way. Shock towers, they're in good condition. The chassis itself, it's worn, but still straight, so that's good. This has the bones of a pretty good build. So in this one, we're gonna go ahead and put it together, but we did have to get on eBay and order up some extra parts. In this packet here, we found a center differential with the dog bones and a center, this is a chassis brace here. The whole thing should fit right in there, no problems. So we found that, that was nice. We were also able to find a replacement for these worn plastic pieces, and this kit right here has everything we should need to get things back up to looking good, except of course for the chassis. This kit did not come with wheels, tires, or a body, so we got some wheels and tires for it, and since I like them so much, we bought some more of the ones that go on the Ultimate Slash. So these are good wheels and tires. We know those work well. Now for the added power systems, we have two options here for the radio. First off, we have the TQI, and this is the one that came out of the X-Max. We know this one functions, and it does have a gyro. So this is a possibility. However, what I would like to put in it is this one here. It's the DX5 Rugged, and this is a really good radio too. The menu's a little weird to get through, and this little touch screen on the back can be frustrating at times, but once you get it set up, this one does function well. However, right now we don't have a 6-channel gyro receiver to put in the car, so we're going to use an SR215, which is just basically a 2-channel radio. Should get everything up and running, and we'll be able to tell if it's going to work properly. This is temporary, but it will do the job. As far as power goes, we're going to stick with what the Centon has in it as far as power goes, and this is a 3200 kV Spectrum motor. This one's brand new out of a big rock. And the reason I got that one is it has the heatsink and the fan on it. There's a reason I needed to have that stuff, because we're going to use 120 amp Hexfly speed control. We've used this one before. It's a good speed control. It works well, and it's capable of 4S. So that's really nice. 2, 3, or 4S. This will handle it. And the nice thing is, for track situations in competition, we'll probably go 2S in those, 3S and 4S for bashing to see just exactly how tough this car is. And I know, guys, the short course trucks are kind of race cars and all that kind of thing, but this is a bashing channel, so everything we own, we bash. It's just the way it goes. Now, the cool thing is, once we get this built, there's another video coming for the running footage, but we have the Traxxas Ultimate Slash here. We've got the Pro 4 SC10 from Associated, and we have the Centon 3S and the Centon 6S to run it against to see how things stack up. Check this out. All right, so we're going to keep the chatter to a minimum on this one. There's no need to get all crazy about it. I like the relaxing feel of just the build itself, so we're going to try and give you some of that in this one. First off, we'll get a little cleanup going here. And since they didn't come with Velcro, we're definitely going to want to rob this out so we can use it on the new ones. It helps that these are still in really good shape, so there's that. And we're going to put these ones in the other direction. I like having the loops on the back. That's just a personal preference. Now some of these components we're putting on are temporary because this plate will definitely have to pull it to put the servo in, but for now we'll just get all the parts in place. Okay, this piece is the speed control mount. And we'll be taking this off in the near future here to put the speed control unit together. Now this can be a little bit tricky because I don't have the manual to this car. All I have is what you've seen here. So we're kind of flying blind on this, but I've got a lot of building experience so I can tell where things generally go. Okay, side panels built, let's get them on the car. Now I feel the need to tell you that although this is sped up and you see me using an impact to put these screws in, I'm going real slow and I'm not driving them all the way down with the gun, I'm just getting them close. Slow is everything with these things because speed burns out the threads in the plastic and then you wind up ruining your components. So always slow as you can go, and then make sure that you torque everything by hand, so never run it all the way down with the machine. Now all of the screws that you put in that go into metal, they should have some thread locker on them, and we're using some Permatex on this one, and it's blue, so it's the removable type. And thread locker can be a bit of a mess, so after we torque these, we're going to go ahead and clean everything up with a rag and get as much of the excess off as possible. We'll have to do the bottom side as well. All right, let's go after that center differential. Hopefully the one I got online will fit. Luckily, it did come with all the screws. Little cleanup. Everything spins nice and free. Let's fish it in. Now all of these are threading into plastic, so we don't need thread locker on these ones. One more. Now these three, they go into the aluminum motor mount, so we want to get some thread locker on these three. Everything spins nice and free. Now let's get this servo in. Well, that's a little too big. This is an 8th scale servo, so for now we'll have to use this one. I don't have a smaller one. I'll get one later. But for now, we can run the vehicle with this one. It is 35 kilograms, so it's a pretty strong servo, but see the gap there? It's a little much. Still, I think we can work around it. So what we need here are some spacers. And these will collapse quite a bit. Now watch how much these collapse. Just right. Now I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but we don't always have the parts that we would like to have. But just because you don't have a specific part doesn't mean you can't find a workaround for these situations. this is way too much servo for this car, but at the same time, it's plenty for this car as well. Nice and firm. Okay, so now we have a different problem. The angle on this is too steep and it's going to bind. It does function, but not very freely, so we'll deal with that here upcoming. Now let's get that speed control installed. A little two-sided tape here. Make sure it's mashed on good. And this here is what's going to hold this in place. The zip tie that we put on there, that's just a kind of an emergency measure. If the tape fails, then that zip tie will take over and keep us from losing the speed control. Make sure not to over and tighten the zip tie. It's just there in case. Okay, let's get this motor installed. Let's get that Loctite on there. Let's redo the Loctite on the pinion here. There we go. Make sure that's fresh. That heat sink's a bit of an issue, but if you bend that side plate a little, it goes right in. Okay, let's set that spacing. That should do it. And unlike some of the other ones, there is another screw from the bottom on this motor mount. Snug everything down, check your spacing. There we go. Go ahead and get those wires connected. Notice the spacers. I had to raise that up so it wouldn't bind. I just had a couple of plastic spacers there. This is still a temporary fix until I change out the servo. Looking good. Okay, let's get the radio in. Now, I came across an SR315, and this was in the drawer, and this one's already been synced to the DX5C, so we're going to use that one so we don't have to open the 215. There we go, center it up in the box. Stick it down good. And let's run that antenna lead. Manage the wires a little bit. Make sure they fit neatly under the lid. And let's do a radio test. Everything seems to be functioning just fine. Let's get them wheels and tires on. Nice. Gonna need a battery. This is a 3S battery that we're using here. Have to make sure the drive system's working properly. Let's see how that thing grounds. Nice. Excellent. Okay, so that's the build for the Tekno 410 SC. Now this is a cool little truck and it has a surprising amount of weight to it. However, we went ahead and hooked it to the DX5C because we found a 3-channel receiver that was in the drawer that was already synced to that one, so it saved all that syncing stuff that we had to do. So just for simplicity's sake, we went ahead and used that. We will have to bind it to a new receiver when we get the 6th channel, so this does not have the gyro in it. This body fits pretty good. It's in pretty good shape. That's pretty nice. The vehicle itself turned out to be a pretty good build, and it's got some weight to it. This is a little more weighty than, say, most of the other ones in this category. It's got some serious girth to it, and I think that's really going to ground the car nicely. Everything went together good. Everything placed the way it should. Everything is working, and I'm really excited to get this out. However, there is one thing right here, and when I connected the servo, you probably noticed that the servo is taller than what it requires because I put basically an 8th scale servo in a 10th scale car. So what I wound up doing is extending this up, putting some spacers in this arm here to get this bar that connects to the thrust rod here. This got raised up a little bit so everything clears. Now everything works the way it's supposed to. Not bad, but this will also get changed when we put a 10th scale servo in it. The tires, they didn't swell much. Everything held up pretty good. The radio went in real simple. The motor went in good. It's got a 15-tooth pinion on it, and everything sounds really clean. So I'm really excited to get this out and see what it can do. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It's awesome when you do, and it allows us to continue doing builds like this. We really enjoy doing these cobbled builds that we buy just in parts and put them together to see what they do when you get them together. This one, all of the differentials in it, real nice, real smooth. It probably is one of the best rolling chassis that we have in the studio, and I just couldn't be happier with the build. So hey guys, if you've got one of these, the Tekno 410. If you have one of these and you've done modifications to it that you think are cool or mods that didn't work, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below and help others along the way. Hey guys, I'm AJ with AJ Jam Studios saying, keep wrenching guys.